I think that couple with the angel is having a big fight right about now. Miss Devine stretched out the word big. Nancy and Bree both agreed. Court. Well, maybe they'll show up on divorce court, Nancy said and giggled. That was another one of Miss Devine's favorite shows, but not one that the girls were allowed to watch. A minute later, the program ended with the host asking home viewers to check the show's website to see if Antiques in Your Attic is coming to your town. Nancy and Bree stood and thanked Miss Devine. They kissed Jewel on the top of her head. Tonight, she had on a tiny gold tiara. Très fancy. Chapter 4. Gold Fever Day. On Monday morning, a surprise was waiting for everyone in 3D. Mr. Dedooney was growing a beard. What made you do it? Nancy asked. To tell the truth, I got tired of shaving every morning. Same here, dude, Lionel said. He had a beard too. Of course, his was a fake one. Along with the beard, he was wearing a pair of old overalls and a bandana around his neck. Lionel explained that he was supposed to look like an old-time miner from the days of the gold rush. So when class started, Mr. D called on Lionel first to tell everyone about his project. This here rock is called Pirate. Am I saying that right? Lionel began and held up a big chunk of something gold-colored and sparkling. He passed it around the class. Pirate looks like real gold, don't it? Sure had me fooled. That's why they call it fool's gold. Miners like me would find a big piece and start shouting but that we had struck it rich. But pirate ain't worth nothing. Then Lionel wiped off his bandana and began sobbing into it. Grace went next. She showed the class a tiny coin inside a plastic envelope. Her millionaire grandpa had given it to her. That's the smallest coin I've ever seen, Robert said, squinting at it. It makes a dime look big. Grace looked not mad exactly, but annoyed. For your information, this happens to be real gold, she said. Not fake like pirate. Then Grace told the class about her coin collection. This one is nearly 100 years old and it's worth tons of money. Tons. Maybe so, but Nancy didn't see how the coin had so much to do with the gold rush except that it was gold. She turned to Bree and they exchanged looks. Show off, they were both thinking. Being best friends mean that they could often read each other's minds. After Grace, it was Robert's turn. He had drawn a big map of the U.S. It showed how wagon trains were made their way across the country to California. Bree went next. I made an ad, like the ones that used to run in newspapers, in very big, very neat letters. Bree had written, "Get rich quick. Come to California. There's gold in those hills and it can be yours." People would read ads like this and rush out west, but not many found gold. So it's really false advertising, Bree explained before sitting down. As Mr. Dedooney looked around the room to choose who would go next, Nancy figured he might call on her since she sat next to Bree. But instead, he said, "Clara, I'm really anxious to know what's under the napkin in your basket. Something sure smells good." It turned out to be biscuits. I took out a book from the library. These books were from a library as well. Clara began in a soft voice, almost a whisper. Mr. Dedooney asked her to start over. Remember, loud and proud, Clara. Clara cleared her throat. Well, in my library book, it said that one time a miner in a camp saw a lady from another tent baking biscuits. He was so hungry for something good to eat that he paid her $10 for one biscuit. But you can all have one for free. It's my Grandma Bee's recipe and it's really good. That is absolutely superb information, Mr. Dedooney told her. Clara beamed. Then she passed out her biscuits. She also had brought in a jar of strawberry jam. Nancy smeared some on over her biscuit and took a bite. Ooh la la, yummy! Delectables. Scrumptious. Mr. Dedooney was looking at the wall clock. I think we have time to hear from one more person. How about you, Miss Clancy? In French, that meant at last. Nancy stood. She had a bottle of water, a plastic bowl, and a pie pan. It was filled with dirt and gravel from her driveway. One way miners in California found gold was by looking in streams, she told the class. They called it panning because they used a pan. Sometimes it was the same pan they used for cooking. They'd scoop up some gravel and water. Nancy paused to pour water in the pie pan. Gold is heavier than water or dirt or gravel, so any gold sank to the bottom. That's another prospectors. That's another word for miners, would swirl their pans around until until all the water and other stuff ran out. And sometimes, slowly, Nancy drained all the water and gravel into the plastic bowl. Voila, there'd be gold. She titled the pie pan so everyone could see the glittering bottom. Cool, said a few kids, but after Nancy handed Mr. D her paragraph and took her seat, she couldn't help feeling a little let down. She had worked pretty hard on her project and it was good, but it wasn't superb, not like biscuits. I think it was pretty cool. Chapter 5, Getting Rich Quick. Nancy and Bree were not the only kids in 3D trying to get rich quick. Everybody was everybody except Grace. I don't need to, she said. I'm already rich. Later that week, Lionel brought in something he called Insta bread. Wads of coconut balls painted brown were glued on the end of a stick. The flat kind that doctors used when you had to open wide and say, ah. Lionel showed it to the cafeteria. Insta beard, not Insta bread, it's Insta beard. Insta beard, he said. This is going to be the next big fad, like pet rocks. Tamara looked up from her sandwich. Pet what? She asked. Pet rocks. They were a fad in the 70s. Beer piped in. My dad still has his. It was a rock he pretended was a puppy. It came with a book on how to feed and take care for your pet rock. A pet rock, Clara giggled. That's so dumb. Lionel was nodding. That was the point. The guy who thought it up made millions. Lionel popped his Insta beard in front of his mouth. Clara giggled again, but Nancy thought she was mostly doing it to be nice. Pet rocks were dumb but funny. To Nancy, the fake beard just looked kind of dumb. I can turn these out really fast. Then Lionel told the kids something that Nancy already knew. His mom was a dentist. I have a box of tongue depressors at home. Cotton balls too. We can all look like Mr. D. I liked him better without the beard, Nola confessed, and everyone else at the table nodded in agreement. I liked him without the beard too. Sadly for Lionel, Insta beard was a flop. This is what it looks like, Insta beard. During recess, he showed his sample beard around. He tried to get orders from younger kids. A first grade boy seemed interested until he heard the price. $1? No way, he told Lionel. As a special introductory offer, I'll charge only 75 cents. The kid shook his head and ran off to join a game of dodgeball. At recess the next day, other new businesses opened. Grace was selling old coins. Once she had doubles or triples of. Wait a minute, you told us you didn't need to get rich, Nancy said. So, it can't hurt to get richer, Grace replied. She tried selling Nancy a penny with a picture of wheat on the backside. It'll cost you a dime. Bree heard Grace and said, "Oh no, you told me the one I found was only worth a nickel, tops. It has the same stalks of wheat on it." Grace scowled. Well, this one is shiny and looks new. You said yours was all dirty. Nancy was already backing away. Was Grace trying to swindle her? Mercy may non mercy, Nancy said in French. It meant thanks, but no thanks. On the other one of the yard, Nola was selling baseball cards. She had a huge stack. A crowd of kids surrounded her. It looked like she was doing pretty good business until Mr. Jaduni appeared. "Sorry, I'm closing down this operation." Then he went over to Grace and made her put away the coins. "Dudes, recess is for running around playing games or just spacing out for 40 minutes if that's what you want to do, he said once everybody was back at their desks. He scratched his beard. He'd been doing that a lot. Clearly, he wasn't used to so much hair on his face. Not that I don't admire your inspirational spirit. Our what? Yoko asked. Inspirational spirit. An entrepreneur is someone who comes up with a smart idea to make money. You say it like this: entrepreneur. It's a French word. As he said this, Mr. D smiled at Nancy. He knew Nancy Clancy was absolutely crazy about everything in French. Everything starts with an idea, Mr. Deduni went on. Some ideas don't work. Yeah, tell me about it, Lionel said. He couldn't give away his Insta beards for free, and some ideas were so superb they changed the way we live. Telephones, airplanes, computers, they all started with an idea and people who simply refused to give up on their dream. Chapter 6, The Road to Riches. Even though school was off limits, that didn't stop the entrepreneurs in 3D from coming up with new ideas for making a fortune. Robert started offering lasso lessons at his house. He had once lived in Texas and knew lots of rope twirling tricks. 5 kids signed up right away. Yoko invited kids over to show them the bead jewelry she'd made. She wanted to sell it. She didn't get many orders, but most of the kids already made the same kind of bracelets themselves. Clara's business was the biggest success. She opened a biscuit stand. Nancy and Bree saw it on Saturday when they biked by her house. "I'm doing great," Clara said, and gave them each a free biscuit. "You have a wonderful product," Bree told her. "Simply delectable." Oh my god, I can't read today. Agreed, Nancy. Wiping biscuit crumbs from her lips. "What's wrong with us?" Nancy asked Bree when they were back at the clubhouse. "Everybody else is making money." Bree was sprawled on the beanbag chair. "We just have to figure out what we're great at that nobody else is." They pondered a while. That meant they were thinking really hard. "We have the most superb fashion sense," Nancy pointed out. Bree agreed but said, "Who will pay us to tell them what clothes to wear?" "Well, we know how to make the most of our natural beauty," Nancy said. "What if we opened a spa?" "Where? Here in the clubhouse?" At first, Bree looked excited, but then she shook her head. "There's a real spa in town. Who'd come to ours?" Nancy frowned. Bree was right. Then Bree sat up straighter. "But we could sell homemade beauty products, like for skincare?" "Sure, why not?" Bree and Nancy high-fived each other. Then they dashed over to Nancy's house. In the den, Nancy turned on her mom's laptop. Recipes for homemade skin cream. They typed into a search engine. In 5 minutes, they had copied down one. They needed vanilla yogurt, honey, and nutmeg. I'm pretty sure we have all the stuff. Let's check in the kitchen." Luckily, Nancy's dad had brought the wrong yogurt, vanilla, not plain, for a meatball dish he was making for dinner. "Sure, take it," he said when he heard what it was for. He rubbed his jaw. "Softer skin? Put me down for a jar." Ooh la la, their first customer. I have a skincare routine too. The only ingredient missing was nutmeg. How important can that be? We only have to use a half teaspoon. Nancy was searching through the spice rack. "We have cinnamon. You think that'll work?" "Probably," Bree said. "Anyway, we shouldn't copy the recipe exactly. It has to be our special secret formula." While Nancy and Bree whipped up their first batch, they discussed names for their skin cream. Nancy wanted something French, so she wiped her hands on a paper towel and went to find the Clancy's French-English dictionary. A few moments later, voila, they came up with a superb name. Crème secrète. It meant secret cream. Back in the kitchen, Bree poured the glop into clean jam jars. "All that work and we only filled 3? We can make bigger batches once the orders come in," Nancy said. Bree picked up one of the jars. We need a great label. My dad said that's really important if you want your product to sell. Then she snapped her fingers. The gold wrappers, she explained to Nancy that her dad had gotten a whole carton of solid gold chocolate bars. Bree had saved all the wrappers from ones she'd eaten. They were too pretty to throw away. Over at Bree's house, they found elegant gold foil labels, argued over the right price. For Crème Secrète, settled on $2.99. So it's $3 if you round it up. And then decided to make a commercial. We can put it up on YouTube, Nancy said. YouTube! We'll email everybody we know and tell them to watch. Maybe it'll go viral. A few months ago, a home movie of Nancy's act in the third grade variety show had gone viral. Over 1 million people had watched it. Wow, that's a lot of views. Before filming the commercial, they wrote out a script. Figuring out the beginning was simple. It went like this. Young people often compliment me on my youthful, petal soft complexion. I'm not bragging. That is just a fact. Would you like to know the secret to glowing, super smooth skin? It's called Crème Secrète, made with all natural ingredients. But after the opening, Nancy and Bree got into another argument. Nancy wanted to say, apply at night before bed. You'll see amazing results the very next morning. That's a promise, a guarantee. Bree wouldn't hear of that. We just made this stuff. We don't know if it really works. That's false advertising. Bree was very strict about sticking to the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Me too. Okay. Nancy thought for a moment. Then she said, how about this? Apply every night before bed. We are almost positive, that's nearly 100% sure, that you'll see results pretty soon. That's better. Nancy and Bree flipped a coin to see who would be the actress in the commercial. Nancy won. She dressed up in a fancy nightgown of Bree's. Then she added a bow for fun. Okay, action. Bree had said once Okay, action, Bree said. Once she borrowed her mother's smartphone. Nancy got through the first part perfectly. After smearing on Crème Secrète, she yawned and pretended to fall asleep in Bree's bed. She snored to make it seem more authentic, more real. Then Bree announced off camera, it's morning now, so let's see if Crème Secrète worked. At that moment, Nancy sat up and grabbed a mirror that they'd put on the night table. Ooh la la, Nancy said, peering at her reflection. I look so young. Unfortunately, Bree had to keep filming the commercial over and over because every time Nancy got to that part, she burst out laughing. That's so me. Oh my god. Bree was getting irritated. Sorry, Nancy said. It's just that old people want to look younger. 9-year-olds don't. 9-year-olds don't. We want to look older. So they switched and Nancy filmed Bree. No surprise, Bree went through the whole thing perfectly the first time. It's a superb commercial, Nancy said. But you really think people are going to buy Crème Secrète? Your dad said he will, and maybe Miss Devine will to be nice. But will anybody else? Nancy was wiping the last of the cream off her face. Bree had a point. Yeah, plus it was fun making it once, but I wouldn't want to keep making lots more. Nancy sniffed and made a face. It smells a little funny, doesn't it? I think maybe we put it in too much cinnamon. By then, it was time for Nancy to leave. So they said au revoir, which means bye in French. And Nancy took a jar of Crème Secrète home with her. She gave it to her dad for free. He dabbed some on his face. His nose wrinkled. Nancy could tell her father thought it smelled weird too. Still, Crème Secrète turned out to be a big hit with someone in the family. Frenchie! Their dog. The next morning, the jar was empty. Somehow, Frenchie had managed to get the top off. She'd licked up every bit of Crème Secrète. Ew, she's licking the cream? She's not allowed to eat that. That's the Frenchie. She's a poodle. Chapter 7. The Bun Crown. It didn't take long for Nancy and Bree to follow another path on the road to riches. Tuesday afternoon, Bree came clackety in her tap shoes over to Nancy's right after her dance class. I know we're going to get rich. Look at this picture I took on my mom's cell. It's a little girl in beginner ballet. Bree handed the phone to Nancy. The photo showed a girl around JoJo's age whose hair was in a bun on top of her head. Around the bun was a tiny gold tiara. Adorable, Nancy said. I thought of a name already. We can call it the Bun Crown, Bree said. The Bun Crown, Nancy repeated the name out loud. Yes, it was perfect. It'll be easy peasy to make them. Bree had figured that out on the car ride home. We can cut crowns out of cardboard and cover them with gold foil from the chocolate. Then all we need to do is punch in holes for ribbons to tie on the crowns. Wow, you've thought of everything, Nancy said. She couldn't help feeling a little disappointed in herself. Maybe Bree had more interpretational spirit than she did. On Saturday, Bree and Nancy began a bun crown production. They worked on the tool table in Bree's garage. They decided that their first sample looked too plain, so they stuck on fancy jewel stickers, and voila, gorgeous bun crowns. After Bree bribed Nancy's sister with a solid gold chocolate bar, JoJo agreed to model the bun crown. The photo of her came out a little blurry, but JoJo couldn't sit still for a retake. Instead, she zipped outside to play in Bree's yard with Freddie. Who's Freddie? While they were making an ad, Bree's dad came into the garage. He picked up a bun crown and read their ad. He thought it looked very professional. I'm going to ask Mom to put it up on her Facebook page. I like the slogan, Bree's dad said. I came up with that, Nancy told him. The bun crown. What's très fancy and fun? A crown for your bun. Be the first on your block to wear one. Soon Nancy had to leave. Andy was coming over for her guitar lesson. Bree gave her a sample to take home. The bun crown. We're going to make millions, Nancy said. Then they squealed, hugged each other, and squealed some more. It sounds like they're really excited. Chapter 8. The best things in life are free? Andy taught Nancy a new song that afternoon. The name of it was The Best Things in Life Are Free. The chords aren't that hard. Sure enough, after a while, Nancy was able to strum along while Andy sang. The moon belongs to everyone. Look, it's Frenchie. The best things in life are free. The stars belong to everyone. They gleam there for you and me. It surprised Nancy that Andy had picked the song to teach her. The songs he liked best had a hard pounding beat. Rock classics like Wild Thing and Louie Louie. This song was very difficult. It was sweet and slow and old-fashioned. My band's got a gig tonight, Andy explained. Friends of my grandparents are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. This is the song they want at the end of the party. He made Nancy play it a few more times. Then they took a break. Over a glass of lemonade, Nancy thought more about the words to the song. Of course, the moon and stars were free. All they had to do was look up in the sky to see them. Do you think the lyrics make sense? About the best things being free? Dunno. Andy drained his glass. I never really thought about it. Neither had Nancy. Not until now. You're an entrepreneur, Andy. Making money is important to you, right? Most definitely. You love playing guitar, but would you give lessons for free? Nancy asked. Listen, you're an amazingly cool kid, but it's fun teaching you guitar, but no. I wouldn't be doing it for free. I need to make money. Nancy poured some lemonade for him. Are you saving up for something extra special? Sure am. It's called college. I'll be going in 2 years and my parents can't afford to pay for it all. So I'm saving as much as I can to help out. Back in the living room, Nancy spent the rest of the lesson going over the song Andy had taught her last time, Rock Around the Clock. Practicing had paid off because twice Andy said sweet. Just before he left, JoJo came bursting into the living room. She still had on her crown. Help! The king is after me! A moment later, Freddie appeared. He had on a towel cape, and Nancy noticed a bun crown too. Only his was taped on his head. One of the points was already ripped off. Freddie started chasing JoJo around the sofa until Nancy yelled, "Halt!" She turned to Freddie. "Did Bree say you could have that crown?" Freddie didn't answer. He looked sideways at JoJo. "JoJo, you gave it to Freddie, didn't you?" Without asking, JoJo didn't answer either. Instead, she hopped onto Andy's lap and said, "Nancy made this." She lowered her head on so he could see the crown. "Very cute," Andy said. "It's a bun crown," JoJo went on. "It's Nancy and Bree's business. They want to be millionaires. Nancy's going to take me to Paris." Nancy scowled. Yes, she said that, but it sounded silly hearing JoJo say it. Then JoJo pulled off her crown, handed it to Andy, and said, "Want to buy it?" Nancy didn't. Andy, don't listen to JoJo. "No, wait!" Andy examined the crown. "This is cute, and it's my little cousin's birthday in a couple of weeks. How much is it?" It's $1.99. It's $1.99, Nancy said shyly. "But honestly, don't feel like you have to buy one," Andy insisted. And after placing 2 brand new dollar bills in Nancy's hand, he packed up his guitar and took off. "Wait!" Nancy followed after him. "I forgot! I owe you a penny!" Andy was already out the front door. He didn't even turn around. With a backward wave, he told Nancy to keep the change and jumped into his truck. So Nancy double-backed into the kitchen and ran out the side door. Wait till she handed Bree one of the 2 crisp bills. It was beyond thrilling, even if she did have to thank her little sister for it. Maybe, just maybe, the bun crown was going to make them millionaires. Chapter 9. Business Troubles. The ad for the bun crown went up on Facebook, and soon 12 orders had come in. Unfortunately, there were problems. After making more crowns, Bree ran out of gold foil chocolate bar wrappers. "Can't your dad get more?" Nancy asked. "Nope, but I bet we can find gold foil or something just like it at the craft store." Problem solved. After lunch on Saturday, Nancy's dad took them downtown. Between them, Nancy and Bree had $7 and change. That also was a problem. The supplies at the craft store came to over $11. $11.18 to be exact. I'm always very exact and specific, just so you guys know. "Dad, can we borrow $3? And Nancy paused to count up all of their coins. Actually, maybe $4? Ladies, you caught me just the right moment. I've been searching for a growth opportunity like the bun crown to invest in." Nancy had no idea what her dad was talking about. Still, she figured the answer was yes. So, since he took out his wallet. "Thanks, Dad. We'll pay you back as soon as we get paid for the 12 orders. An hour later, the girls had everything set up again on the work table to Bree's garage. Bree wrote a list of people who had ordered the bun crown. As soon as they finished making one, Bree checked off a name. We are so professional," Nancy said, and they high-fived each other. After an hour of bun crown production, however, there was yet another problem. They had no more jewel stickers, so it was back to the craft store, this time with Bree's mom, who loaned them more money. The Gem Bright stickers the girls had been using cost $3 a package. There were cheaper jewel stickers for sale, but Bree and Nancy agreed that only the finest would do for the bun crowns. By the end of the afternoon, 12 golden, bejeweled bun crowns gleamed before them. As soon as they finished, they presented one to Miss Devine, who had brought a bun crown for Jewel. Since no parent was free to chauffeur them around town, Nancy and Bree had to wait until Sunday to make all the deliveries. All their customers were delighted with the bun crowns, and every single person insisted on the girls keeping the change. When they tried to hand over a penny, Bree and Nancy arrived back at the club with a stack of dollar bills. A real wad of money, although altogether they had made $24. Nancy couldn't take her eyes off it. "We are going to be rich, rich, rich." She pictured herself gazing down on Paris from the top of the Eiffel Tower.